This is Tags from War Jeepney, and welcome to our second episode of What Is. And today we're going to be talking about a solo game, another solo game. Since I've been stuck in the house, I am not really playing with other players, so I'm more into a solo gaming recently. So it is a solo game that is first and foremost also a skirmish game, a solo game. It is a miniature agnostic. That's why you can use any of your miniatures that are lying around, or if you have tons of miniatures that you don't have any justification for having. This is one of those systems that you can use all of your other miniatures. Also, this is something that does not come in a box set. When I bought it over at, I think it was Wargamer or Wargame Vault, it was a PDF. I printed the cards that you can see here. So what does it come with? First, the rule book. The rule book I didn't print anymore since I can use my phone for that. But the rest of the cards that you are seeing here all came from that PDF package. So what you get, you get soldier cards. So I printed them on cardboard or card stock. And these are your profiles for different soldiers that you can field. You have your sit rep, which is technically the scenario or the current situation that is happening, or surprises that will happen while you're trying to accomplish your scenario. Some of them will be generating more enemies as you go through the game. You also have gear cards. Gear cards are something that you can equip your team with. So you can see here there are point costs. Usually you can equip your team up to 6 points worth of gear. And then comes your enemy element cards. Since the setting of this game is modern, you'd be seeing that the enemy elements are actually themed like they're terrorists. So it's terrorists versus the military. And lastly, this very useful card, which is your template. It is your movement, your throwing arc for grenades, and also the whole card is the area of effect for any weapons situations that have area of effect, including unit coherency. So if all of them are within, you don't need to be completely within, you get a bonus for having to be within coherency. Alright, so how does the game play? Basically, you have different phases. The first one will be your order phase, and in your order phase, let's say I have this guy and he is being represented by Robert Pepper. This card will give you the profile of your soldier. So this is Robert Pepper. And here he has 4 life, 8 initiative, +1 for range attack, and +4 for melee attack. So during your order phase, you always need to start off with an initiative roll whenever you activate a soldier. So you need to roll higher than or equal to their initiative. So I rolled a 5, which is lower. So what happens if it's lower? You immediately get a sit rep card, and whatever it states, you need to do that. And the only action that this person will now be able to do is just move. So you just move this length. Now, let's just re-roll it. Okay, so there, you can see it's a 10, so it's higher than 8. And I passed the initiative. I won't be drawing from the sit rep deck, and instead, I will be able to make use of 2 actions or 2 orders. Those two orders can be used in different actions. Some of them will just be consuming one order. Some of the more complex ones will be consuming two orders. There's a plethora of actions. There's interact with objectives, there's shooting, there's movement, there's advance, technically double move, climbing, so on and so forth. After the order phase, there is the sitrep phase, wherein again you need to draw from the sitrep deck, do whatever it says, and after that it's the enemy's turn to activate. So all of the existing enemies, most of the enemies would be having their profiles of their own. So let's say you have a group of Al-Wahid fighters. You don't need separate cards for them. You can just have that profile for all of the different groups. And if there are individual enemies like this one, they are usually tagged, or they have a keyword for straggler. So if it's the enemy's turn, they will act as normal, and anyone who did not act under the sitrep condition will act as normal, and their normal act is technically move and shoot. Now their movement, of course, will still be using the template, and they will always be moving towards the closest friendly or closest unit or model that you have. After moving, if they have line of sight, they will try to shoot, and combat here is quite simple. There's always just one number that you look at for combat. Okay, fine, it's not just one number because you need to look at your modifiers. Okay, so what happens when the enemies actually move and try to shoot your guy? So this is the threat number of your enemy, and all of them are assumed to be shooting at you. So if you have a group of enemies like this card, a group of Al-Wahid fighters, all of them will be shooting at you, so you need to roll 3 times and defend against their threat value. So if it's equal to or higher than their threat value, then you actually are able to dodge, or probably, I don't know, your armor absorbs it or something to that effect. And you'd be doing that 3 times since there's 3 of them. So far I am doing it right, but I rolled an 8, so now I will take a wound. So wounds here, yeah, if you reach up to 4 wounds, you will be incapacitated, but you're not yet dead. If you take another wound beyond your capacity, that's the time that you die. So some of the actions, like I said earlier, they're quite complex. You can actually pull a teammate, you can equip yourself with first aid kit or a tourniquet, or have someone be the medic to do those different actions. Then after the enemies activate, you will now go to the clear phase, and technically that's the time that you remove your activation tokens or any effects that you have in the game. After the clear phase, that's also when you look at the conditions for the mission and if you have achieved them. So there are different types of missions. Some of them would be focusing on rescuing, gathering intel, and some of them need to be completed within a certain number of rounds. For more experienced players, or if you want more challenge during your solo game, you can always look at the advanced rules. Now, what do we have in store for advanced rules? Some of the advanced rules will give you modifiers if you are on elevation. Some of them will give modifiers, or you can use rules for modifiers for cover when passing through rough terrain, or difficult terrain, or whatever you want to call that terrain, and climbing, and all other types of actions that will give more depth into the game and more challenge as you go through the different missions. Now, like I've said, since this is miniature agnostic, you can use technically any miniature that you have. In the forums or in the groups, I've seen some people try 15 so probably you can have a smaller table than what I have right now. And another aspect of this game is you can play it in a 2x2, you can scale it up to a 3x3, even a 4x4, but I guess a 4x4 would already be too big. So probably 3x3 would be the best. Or you can have something that's smaller and use 15 figs. So all of those would work. Plus, the rules are flexible enough that you're not tied to using futuristic or modern miniatures. If you want, you can pretend that instead of having soldiers, you have rangers. Their guns are bows and crossbows. Someone can be a dedicated melee fighter for swordsmen, so on and so forth. And the templates, or well, I mean the PDFs, when I got them, there were enemy card templates that were just blank. So technically, you can customize your enemies, and in the groups in Facebook that I've joined, a lot of people are actually making their own soldier profile cards. So that's how flexible the system is, that's how flexible the game is. And if you go to the Facebook group for the game, the author himself, or the creator of the game, would be the one answering your questions, because whenever I have questions, I always see him to be one of the first guys to comment and explain the rules. So it's a very friendly environment, that group, and this game is also quite a challenging game, depending on how you want to set it up, and depending on the use of the advanced rules that you want to apply. So there you go. That's more or less a brief summary of what the game is about. Let us know what you think of the game, and let us know if you're planning to get it on Wargamer Vault, or I think it's also available in Drive-Thru RPG. Nonetheless, that's it. Thank you for watching another video. Please don't forget to hit the like and the subscribe button, and if you want to get notified for any of the new videos that will be coming out, don't forget to hit the notification bell icon.